Yeah, welcome to a brief introduction to, as I was saying, a brief introduction to Autocad software for architectural drawing. So, my name is Engineer Ogbonna Uche Kingsley, a lecturer at a federal university in Nigeria. I'm actually doing this short video to just introduce you to the use of AutoCAD in your production of architectural drawings. All right, so let's move on. So we're going to be using AutoCAD, Autodesk AutoCAD 2021, and I've launched it on my desktop. For those of you who have 2022, 2020, 2018, 2019, and so on and so forth, 2026, 2025, 2024, it's almost the same thing. All right, just one or two little modification, but you are good to go. You can seamlessly use anyone interchangeably. All right. So this is the environment when you open it. So you see all this, a lot of grid lines. So they're actually grid lines, so I can actually remove them. Okay, so if you go to this place, this is where I'm putting my mouse on now. You see what is called display grid, drawing grid. So if I select it, it leaves. So the place becomes white. All right, so I can change this color to any color I want. So I want it to be black, I want it to be white, I can. So I can right click your mouse, so you can right click on your mouse and click options, and then you can go to colors, then you go to color, you see a drawing windows color, so you click white and you change it to black if you want to. So if you say apply, everything becomes black. Apply, okay. All right, so we have a property toolbox. All right, so I can close it here. Just click this cross and that goes. So we can just review a little bit of the environment. So on these tools, these are the tools. All right, so the draw tools. All right, so these are the draw tools. So the draw tools, you have your line, your polyline, your circle, and your arc. All right, so if you click on the arc, you see different kind of arcs you want to draw. All right, so if you click on your circle, you see different types of circle you want to draw. So if you want to draw a circle with the center and radius, if you want to draw a circle with the center and diameter, if you want to use 2 points to draw a circle, you can actually use 2 points to draw a circle. If you want to use 3 points to draw a circle, you can actually use 3 points to draw a circle. So there are different approaches to what you, depending on what you want to achieve. All right. If you go to what is it called again? So you see your rectangle tool. Your rectangle tool comprises of your rectangle and your polygon. So polygon is when your sides, a rectangle has 4 sides with 4 sides basically. So it can be equal, it can be unequal. So you can use rectangle to draw a square. All right. So your polygon is when it's more than 4-sided rectangle, so it becomes a polygon. So you can have 5-sided and 6-sided and all that. All right. So you have your move tool. All right, so you have your modify tool, modify tool. So your modify tool is what you use after you have done your drawing. You can now modify by either moving, copying, stretching. All right, so you can rotate objects, you can mirror objects, you can scale objects, you can trim objects. So if you go to trim, you see that you have trim and extend. So trim is to shorten. If you look at it, you see that it has a brief description of what it is. So to trim objects is to meet the edges of other objects. So you can trim objects to meet the edges of other objects. To trim objects, select the boundaries, then press enter and select the objects that you want to trim. To use all objects as boundaries, press enter at the first select object prompt. Alright, so what you do now is that when you select you place your cursor, your arrow, your mouse on the mouse pointer rather on any of the commands. It will give you a brief description of what it is. So if you put it on rotate, for example, it gives you what it is, that you can rotate objects around a base point. You understand? So that's what it gives you. So if you look at this, you see that in the first object you have 1, 2, 3. So it was the dining table. That's the dining table. It was rotated. All right. So that's what that stands for. So you can fillet or bend curves. And you can do array. Array is just like a repetition of a pattern. You just repeat it horizontally at an angle and all that. Alright, so you have your erase tool, just as you have your drawing boards where you can draw, you have your erase tool where you can erase. Then your erase tool, if you put it there, so you see it removes objects from a drawing. So when I erase, you see that the objects on red on the drawing was erased, so it's no longer there. So if you go to explode, so it breaks a compound object into its component objects. Alright, so let's say you select an object and the object is a complete object. Alright, if you select one part of the object, all the part of the object is selected, is a single object. So if you want to have it such a way that you select parts of the object instead of one as whole, you can use explode. So explode tool now makes you to select. You can select if you look at the second drawing, you see that you can select the circle, you can select the lines, and you can select the other parts of the object. So let's go back to polylines. So let's see what polylines is. Difference between polylines and lines. So let's go to lines first. Sorry. So to use line to create straight line segments. So with line, you can create a series of continuous line segments. Each segment is a line object that can be edited separately. All right, is that clear? So in other words, if you draw a line, you can edit each segment separately. Like for example, that they have segment 1, 2 and segment 2, 3. So if you select segment 1, 2, you can edit it without it affecting segment 2, 3. But when we go to polyline, the difference between it is that for polyline, it creates a 2D polyline also. Okay, so it creates a 2D polyline, sorry. A 2D polyline is a connected sequence of segments created as a single planar object. You can create straight line segments, arc segments, or a combination of the two. So in other words, what we're trying to say is that we have a polyline of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So if you create a polyline, all right, the polyline becomes a single element. All right, so it becomes 1, 2, 3, 4 as a whole. You cannot select 1, 2, segment 1, 2. All right, separately if you use polylines. All right, so we go to text. You can use text to draw text. So you can do multi-text. You can do single texts. All right. So if you want to do single text, you can do single text. If you want to do multiple text, you can do multiple text. So we have dimensions. So in the dimensions, we have linear. We have linear dimensions, like your linear dimensions aligned. When you want to the dimension aligned, you see it, you use it to do it. So you want to measure arc length, you can also use your line. If you want to measure radius, you can also use your line. If you want to measure diameter, you can also use your line to do diameter and all that. So ordinate and jogged. So you can also see leader. So you can use leader to maybe you want to label something. So your table, you can also use table to create your table. Where you have cells like Excel, whatever, you can use it to create it. All right, so you have your layer properties, which is very important. So you have your layer properties, and you have your layer properties. If you click this portion, your layer toolbox, you see that you only have one layer, 0. So what we use layer for is basically to how will I put it in such a way that I can have, if I want to do a drawing, for example, and I want to have different layers, what it means is that I can use a layer to hide what I don't want to see and to show what I want to see. So if I use a layer and I freeze the layer, it goes. So you see that there's off. You can turn off a layer, you can isolate a layer, you can freeze a layer, you can lock a layer, and then you can make a layer current. Then you can match layer 2. Alright, so you can turn all layers on. Alright, then you can unisolate all layers. So just what we did here now, this is the opposite. So I put off the layer, but I can turn all layers on. I isolated a layer, I can unisolate a layer. I froze a layer, I can thaw all layers. I lock a layer, I can unlock a layer. So I make a layer current and I match layer. So we can also go to create. I can create a block definition by selecting object, specifying an insertion point and giving it a name. Alright, I can edit the block layer and all that. I can also edit attributes, but these are beyond the scope of this class. So we have a match properties. We can also match properties. Then we have our layers. Then we can give each colors to our layers. We can give what is called line width or line thickness. Then we can have what is called our line type. Alright, or layer type. Okay, so let's do some small play. So if I want to measure, first of all, let's just play with this software. I want to draw a line of 3000 millimeters. So I select a line and I say 3000. So you see that I just select a point. I can use my escape key. I select my escape key to go undo it. So I select line. It says specify first point. So I just click anywhere. So you see that it's now the first point is 0, 0, 0. So you say specify next point. So I can be going. I'll just move my mouse on a straight line. But you see that it's not. We're having problem with it being straight. So what I'll do is, in order to make it straight, I'll come here. See where I'm moving my mouse to. Restrict cursor orthogonally. So if I select it, it means that it is now an orthogonal model. If I uncheck it, it goes. So if I want it to polar, so that it will be giving me angle and bearing, I can do the same. So if I select what is it called again, orthogonal layer, and I can move, you see that there's a number called 42.7517. all right, so I can just put 3000 and just type enter. So I'll type enter again, so it escapes. So I can be rolling my mouse, but if I can be rolling my mouse, but if I find it difficult to, it's still stiff. If for example it's still stiff, I can now use what is called, I'll type Z. Alright, so I'll enter zoom, then I'll say A, which is zoom all. So I'll click enter, so it has zoomed all. So if there's any drawing, to show all the drawings. If there are many drawings, I will start seeing where the problem will come when I have many drawings in this page and I want to zoom to be misbehaving. So if I zoom all, it will zoom everything and show me everything in the drawing. Alright, okay, so I've drawn a line of 3000 millimeters or 3 meters. So I can also draw a polyline. Okay, let me just use the line to draw a rectangle. So let me say a rectangle of 3 meter. 1, 2, 3. Bam. Then I come down. Then I say 1600 millimeter. Sorry. Then I go to my left. Type another 3000 millimeter. Then I go up to close it to this place. I don't need to click anything, just type 16 millimeter. So that goes. So that goes. So that goes. So I have a rectangle. Okay, this is 3000 millimeter or 3 meters. This is 1600 millimeter or 1.6 meters. This is 3000 millimeter or 3 meters. This is 1.6 millimeter or 1600 millimeter. All right. So let me now select. I've selected this line, this segment. This is the line segment. You see that every other parts are not selected. So I select escape. I just press the escape key on my keyboard. So let me now draw a polyline using the line using a rectangle using polyline. So now see PL is a P line is polyline. Specify start point. So I specify start points. So it tells me to specify next points, or if I want to use arc, length, blah blah blah. So I'll just type 3000. Then I come down again, specify next points, or let me just use this specify. Let me use this specify next points. I'm not using the or. Alright, so I say 1600, enter. Then I go to this place, 3000 again. Then I go take it up, then 1600, enter. Then I type enter again. Now let me select this line segment. You see that for polyline, everything is what? Selected. So it means that you see that I cannot edit. Let me click escape on my keyboard again. I cannot edit this one. I can edit this one if I want to, but this one I cannot edit it. This only this line or only this line. All right. So if I want to draw circle, the same thing. I take circle. It tells me to circle, specify center point. I select. So it tells me to specify radius of circle or diameter. So if I want to specify radius, if I type anything now, let's say the radius is 500. You see what I've done now. Now let me do a circle again. Now I'm using my ruler and my mouse to zoom it, to make it go up and back. So if I click on any point, now whatever I type on this phone against this 496 will make it a radius. But if I want it to be diameter, I will just type D on the what is it called? Sorry, D, capital letter D. I say enter. So I can now, you see that it has made it has covered the 496.4168 is now over. So from the edge to edge. So if I now say 1000, because a diameter is twice the radius. So if I say enter, so it give me the same thing. So you see the two ways to do that. All right. Okay. So if I want to offset, I want to do offsets. The advantage with using polyline is that if I want to offset, say I want to offset. I select offsets. So it tells me to offset. You see the command. That's why this is what is called AutoCAD command. You follow the command to get all what you want to be done. So offset, specify offset distance. If I want to specify offset distance now, it's okay. Offset distance, let me say offset distance is 150. So I say yes. So now say offset, select object to offset. So I'll just select this one now. Bam. So I'll move it. So specify points on side to offset. So I'll just say bam. So it has offsetted it. Now if I come, the offset command is still active. You see that it's still showing, asking me to select object to offset. So if I have as many objects I can select. So if I go to the polyline that I did, I say this, I take it inside, I click. You see the advantage. So I've been able to offset only one line. Here now I'll be offsetting it one by one. Click, go inside, select inside. You getting me? So then I'll now say enter. Now if I want this one to be like this, I'll now use trim. So if I go here now, just select trim, I say trim. So you see trim, cutting edges, crossing mode, project. So I'll say cutting edges. So the letters that are blue are the, if I type it, it means I want to cut edges. If I type C, it means, if I type T, it means I want to cut edges. If I type C, it means I want to what? Use enter crossing. If I type O, it means mode. P means project. Erase is R. So I'll just use T. Enter. So if I come here now and select this one, I say select objects. I select objects. Then I'll now say enter. You see that if I say enter, it means that it's now activated for me to trim. So I'll just start trimming as many as I want to. Sorry. Let me do it again. So trim. Alright. So I see. Alright. So okay. You see now. So I'll just say enter. So if I say enter again, it goes back to the previous command. You see what I did? If I say enter again, it goes back to the previous command. So I still select what I want to. Sorry. Okay, I just select all this. Alright. Okay, good. So I'll just say enter. Now, let me now introduce extend. So extend. I want to extend this line now to that place. So to say extend, I say boundary edges. So I'll say B, enter. So I'll go and select the, and then select the objects. You see, so I'll say enter. So I can go and do the trim I wanted to do again. You see that this one is taking so much time to achieve than just doing this. So the same thing with trim again. I'll say T, then I'll say enter, and I click, enter again. Oh, sorry, I can undo it. So trim, say T, or I just say trim. Let's go here. So everything is already activated. So you see, it's taking so much time. Now, what I'll do again is I'll now go to. I need to save this file. So I'll say save as. All right. So if I want to save it in desktop, so I can give it a name. The name will be STE224 class. All right. So I'll just save it there. I can save it in 2027 version. Any version I want to save it, I can save it. So I've already programmed it to be lower, so somebody else who has a lower version can open it. So I'll just save it. So when I save it, you see that this title has changed here. So you see that I've saved it as ST224 class. All right. So ladies and gentlemen, so this is where we'll end the brief introduction. So subsequently, the next video I will also give you the way to now go into the typical architectural drawing. So I'll give you an assignment to do a rectangle. So you produce a rectangle of 6,000 millimeters by 4,500 millimeters. Then the offset will be 125 mm. Then do a circle. Do the rectangle for both using a line command and a polyline command. Then do a circle using a circle of radius. A circle of radius 1,200 millimeters. All right. Then you now offset the circle to 150 in, not out. Then you will now also do a diameter of 2,400 millimeter and then offset it by 150 millimeters. Thank you very much. See you in the next class.